Alrighty. Okay, thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Arts Commission at our monthly meeting. Today is May 13th. My name is Adrielle Farr, Director of Art and Cultural Affairs for the City of Kingston and organizer for today's virtual meeting. Before we begin our meeting, we would like to go over a few meeting guidelines to help us navigate this system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Commission members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website at a later date. If you are not included on the agenda, please be respectful and courteous to our commission members by remaining muted. If you have any audio issues, please send a text message to the following number, 845-399-9072, or please utilize the chat feature. As organizers for today's meeting, I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance Arts Commission Chair Susan Lin, Arts Commission members Ann Bailey, Peter Criswell, Maria Elena Ferrer, Ione, Linda Marston Reed, Ward Mintz, and Lynn Woods. Absent is Laura Giordano. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times, and on behalf of the City of Kingston, I wish you and your family good health. I now turn the floor over to Chair Susan Lin, who will call the meeting to order.
You're here. So did everybody get a chance to read the minutes? Any corrections?
Well, there's one tiny correction under old new business. It says the Todd Samara website will be redesigned. We haven't had one before, at least as far as I know. So will be designed.
Okay.
It's new.
With that, anybody like to make a motion to accept?
We'll make a motion.
Anne, second? Second?
I'll second it.
Lynn. Anybody opposed?
Sorry, I wasn't here last month. So.
Okay, so Lynn, you want to talk about the Todd Samara project?
Well, I just want to let everyone know that we're issuing the call for this year's award, and I'm going to read really briefly. We sent it to Anne because Matt is going to publish it on its website, and we'll try to share it. And maybe I also realized I should probably do some kind of brief press release to get the word out, because we want to get the word out. We want as many applications as possible. So I'm just going to quickly tell you we're accepting proposals from artists in all genres of art practice, including not just visual arts, but also music, performance, and literary arts. Applicants must reside or work in the City of Kingston. The award of $1,200 was designed for proposals from emerging and established contemporary artists, art educators, and/or curators for a project to take place in the City of Kingston. But given the hardship inflicted on the creative community by the pandemic, we will also consider the financial need of artists of merit in deciding the winner. The amount of funding is flexible and multiple awards may be considered. And then we just want a short description of their project or describe their need related to their art practice, along with a one-page CV and up to 8 pages or links to videos. And judging creative work of merit, factors that will be considered by the committee include originality of conception, quality of execution in our craft, professionalism of presentation, and visibility and/or engagement with the community. So if you just get the word out to all your artist friends, and last year Patty Gibbons got it, the year before it was the Matter Digest. So we had a literary team get 1 award, a visual artist get the 2nd award. And so we'll see. I think last year we had about 9 applicants, and a lot of them were very legitimate. And it was a little hard to decide, but the more applications we get, the better. So I just want to let everyone know about that. And then we have done the website, which will have works by Todd for sale, and also a donate button and description of events and homepage about Todd, then more detail about Todd. So that should be up soon. And so anyway, I just want to let you know that, and let all your artist friends know about this award.
Lynn, I had a question. You can apply for, there can be several awards, but the maximum award you can give out is $1,200?
Yes, well, I mean, the last two awards we gave to one party, 1,200, but it's conceivable we might give 600. I mean, it's not going to be more than 1,200. I mean, it might be ultimately because we've invested the money in the fund and the fund is doing well. And I know Tom Samara, Todd's brother, really wants to have more, have more award money available in the future. So yes, what that means is that we might divvy it up. But so far it seems like 1,200 isn't a huge amount of money. So we've chosen to give it to one artist. But if we got two proposals that we couldn't decide, we might divide it up.
Mm.
Is that not clear? Because, maybe we need to, in the press release, I'll try to be clear about that.
Yeah, when I read it on the post today, I wasn't sure if it was going to be more than, it sounded like it might possibly be more than 1,200.
No, not at this
Okay.
point. So
Okay.
let me look at that because we've sent it to Anne, but maybe we need to tweak it a little bit.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, Addie, master plan?
Okie dokie. So we are at the point where we got to take all of the recommendations that came in from the task force meetings and kind of stretch them out a little bit, put them into the plan. It's not going to be just like a copy paste kind of thing. For anyone who kind of took a dive into those workbooks, it was kind of a lot of bullet points and things like that. So this is just a way to flesh out, add a little narrative to our recommendations. We are going to take a little bit more time with our draft, just because I think, no need to like rush necessarily. We got our task force stuff in this week. So, they've kind of just gotten a chance to take a look at it. So they're going to be spending the next 2 weeks putting that all into the document, coming up with the design, that kind of thing. I will be doing a call out tomorrow for some more images, just if anyone has anything that they'd like to add in. We've used a couple images through State of Culture and in some of our previous materials. So we're just going to see if anyone has anything new they'd like to add to it. We should be having a draft that we'll be able to all take a look at, hopefully end of May. So I think we're on a really good track, and I'm looking forward, going over all of the task force workbooks and having been at all of those meetings. I think we have a lot of overlap, which is good. And we'll be able to come up with some strong action items. So that's where we're at so far.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, Melon Foundation update. So we put together a statement for the Melon Foundation, and I think it's a pretty strong statement. And the next step is, if you guys say go, I'll submit it. I believe, Anne, I will need I think I have your EIN number, but if I need any information from you,
Yeah,
I'll give you-
and we have full agreement from the Midtown Arts District to be a sponsor. And I know there was one other thing you had asked us, and yes, the Laura Hope thing. Mad voted on that, and it's fine.
Great.
The transfer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we're ready to go. It's kind of scary to hit that submit button.
Hey, it's exciting. I think it's an incredible effort from many people, and really thank you everyone for putting your 2 cents in. It's really great.
I started thinking about, like, where else can we go? We have this great statement now. We have to use it in 100 different places.
I think we'll be looking for that for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know when I hit the submit button.
It was a
Okay.
wonderful collaborative
It
effort.
won't it be
Make sure to
great?
get
You
that
hit the
number
submit
too.
button, and all of a sudden you get this thing all over your screen saying $250,000.
Right away.
All right.
Oh, by the way, this is not on topic, but I got a $100,000 grant yesterday for Delaware Ulster Senior Care Network Planning Grant. So
Wonderful.
yeah, so I'm going out with a bang.
Congrats.
Plastic.
Okay, Harriet Tubman's statue, sculpture, memorial, whatever we're calling it. Margie is going to send a check. Her board is meeting on the 20th, I think, and they'll write the checks there. She's going to send that out. We have the contract. You guys were right. It is $4,000 for the rental. It's $2,000 per month. I thought for some reason I'm thinking 2,000 total. And then the insurance is, minimal. It's like a couple $100. So she's sending a check for $1,000, and I have to send back the contract, and the contract asks for a space where it's going to be. And I told her it's one of two places. I said it can we're either going to put it at the library or we're going to put it at Deep Listening Plaza. I said she said, it's okay if you don't know where. I sent her a picture of both places and she was thrilled about both of them. So that's, oh, and that was the other thing. I wanted to know who should sign the contract. Should it be MAD? Should it be the Kingston Library?
If they're sponsoring it, they should sign it, I would
Okay,
think. So
Okay.
that would be fine, and we'll be happy to help with fundraising and that sort of thing.
okay.
But
And I will send the contract to
that makes
her. I'll tell her that we discussed it tonight and think it's best
yeah,
if they sign it, since they're the ones that are at least putting up the initial amount of money.
yeah, and they're spearheading it, and they'll be a big deciding factor in where it goes, I think.
Oh, I'm sure they would love to
Yeah.
have it at their facility.
Yes.
And they
Exactly.
have that nice little kind of round where there's round benches, and it's a circular space that it would probably be beautiful in the middle of that. But and Margie said she was happy with either location, so
Okay.
I'll leave it up to them. I'll let her know tomorrow so they can decide at their board meeting.
Okay.
And then, we just have to fundraise and, think about programming.
We have to also approach the contractors or folks about the installation.
Right.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah. Ione?
Oh, yes. Well, it's a wonderful timing for it because they've just discovered her house, the foundation of what they believe was her home.
It's hard to hear you, Ione.
Oh. What's happening? What's happening? They've just discovered the foundation of her home. Can you hear me better?
Yep.
Yeah. So they're excavating now, and I've just discovered that my great grandmother, who was kind of had boots on the ground at the time that she did, has mentioned her in her own book. So I have a couple of pages that I hadn't seen before, where she's touting Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railway.
Where was the house?
I think it's in, I have to look it up again. I think it's in Maryland area.
And wasn't Harriet Tubman going to be on a coin or a bill, and Trump killed it? And now that Trump is out, I'm kind of wondering when that's going to be resurrected.
We need to write a letter to Biden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm sure somebody's thinking about it, but we'll work on it. Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have to report on that. The role of the Arts Commission in carrying out the recommendations of the master plan and the possible role in other projects like the Melon Monuments Art Center. Mr. Mintz.
Well, hello. I was sitting here having these thoughts, and I felt that it was unclear to me in both of these cases what role the Arts Commission had. So I thought it was worth a discussion among us, and also hearing from Addie about her thoughts, about the master plan. And since so much of the Melon Foundation statement was done by everyone, I thought, well, what does that mean about the future? Let's say we get the money, we don't get the money. What happens afterward? So I thought it was, because there are such important, intelligent, not shy people on this group, that I felt that people would have no problem chatting about this.
Well, I mean, I'll just say something, I just felt very inspired to hear people talk about it. And frankly, I've been thinking more conventionally about monuments, so it didn't really hit me how this really is a living memorial until people shared. So my feeling is, if we don't get the money, it's something to pursue regardless. I mean, I think it just sounds like really important for Kingston. So I don't know if that helps much, but I think definitely it seems to me that it's a bigger vision. If there are other ways to get money, or, I think it's something to pursue, and definitely to talk to Repco about, definitely think about a space.
Well, I think we also have to do our due diligence, with talking to other organizations and seeing, what their vision is, talking to the community, knocking on doors, like Rashida said.
I think it will be interesting to hear what Melon has to say about this. I think it's a very strong application. I also think it's a very strong vision. And larger cities have done things like this. A city our size hasn't, but it's not to say that it couldn't. So, and given the arts-rich history we have here and the interest in Midtown and that space that already exists, to me, it seems like a wonderful addition to what is already growing quite naturally out of that area. And not to give up on it, because a lot of other things have been proposed for that space, including a dollar store. So, keep the vision alive, because I think the community deserves something so much better, and something that will engage everybody. And I think, as you dive into the community and explore, you'll find a lot of people think this is a great idea, and especially in the arts community, certainly, but also in the community of African-American people who've lived historically for generations in Kingston.
Maria
I think it's strong.
Yeah, I wanted to ask also, Ward, if your question has to do with different roles, or how in the practicality of the implementation for the master plan, and even for this program, how it's going to work. Because I guess that there is where we have like, okay, we know we have to do things, how we are going to implement that, who is doing what and when, and how we're going to follow up. So your conversation goes toward that side too, right? You're mute.
Very much so. Yes, that's where it goes. Yes.
Okay, so.
So just so I understand, so the first question is, what's the Arts Commission's role and implementation in the Arts and Culture Master Plan in general? And then the second one is, how does the Melon Foundation application factor into the master plan? Just want to clarify.
I didn't think about that. It was more, we've created a project, and who in the future, what group, what individual, what entity is going to be responsible for that in the future. It's the same thing, with the Arts Master Plan. I'm making this up now, we're going to have 10 recommendations. What happens to those recommendations? I don't know. And I'm asking out of not total innocence, but almost total innocence.
I think that when it comes to implementation for the master plan, I think that Arts Commission should definitely be a part of it. I think there are things that the Arts Commission will be able to do a really good job on helping out with. I don't think that everything is necessarily on the Arts Commission's plate, but anything that is arts related that's coming out of the city, the Arts Commission should have some involvement with, because that's kind of the role of the commission as an advisory commission. So, as we start working on how to implement these strategies, it'll be a part of our job to figure out how to do those things. So that's part of the thing that we're working on right now with Lord, is we've done all this research with the task forces and gotten a lot of really amazing ideas. And now we just have to figure out how to implement those things in Kingston. We've gotten a good head start with some of the things, and other things are a little bit more nebulous. I think one thing the Arts Commission would probably have a really helpful role in is just being ambassadors for the plan, helping communicate about the plan, helping to foster collaboration. One of the things that came up so often was the idea of meetings, spaces, and I think that we already have that system kind of set up in our Arts Commission meeting. So I do think that, outreach is going to be important, maybe revisiting some of the conversations that we've been having over the past years about, outreach strategies, Facebook, marketing, all those kinds of things. So I think that's probably going to definitely come back into play. But yeah, part of the workbooks was that it had specific, like a specific box that was like, who is involved on what. So I think that there will be certain things that will make a lot of sense for the Arts Commission to be a part of. In terms of the Melon Foundation stuff, since the city can't apply for the Melon Foundation grant, there's not really too much we can do in that situation. And with the development of any city property, we have a pretty rigorous system that we have to go through. So it's very rarely that we can just kind of, we have to go through our common council is going to be heavily involved in any kind of development happening in the city. Then of course there's administration approvals and, just looping everyone in on our end. So if this is a municipal project, there's definitely going to be some things that we're going to have to go through just in terms of outreach, public presentations, all that kind of stuff. So if it turns out that, we're going to be a partner in this, there's definitely, some more people that are going to have to be looped in. I can't imagine something like this happening without, planning being involved. We also have a new housing specialist. So if anything is involving housing, I would think that they would be somebody that would be included in that conversation at the city. And yeah, I mean, if it is a city project, there are other kinds of funding resources that we have access to, but probably nothing that's going to be able to get us the capital needed for it. So I think it will have to be a conversation. And I think, once we get to a position where we have like formal proposals and that kind of thing, I think that that's when it makes sense for that to be looped in. And in terms of community organizing, city can, like I said, we have like rules for how we have to go about that kind of stuff. So, presenting things to the public and getting feedback in those kind of formal ways, having things be open for comment. So all of that stuff is factored in to how we develop things.
Lynn,
yeah.
did you have a comment?
Well, I was just thinking that it seems to me that besides the building, the programming is really key. And that's what we talked about in that description. And so I was just thinking, it would be, and maybe this overlaps with the master plan, to do the outreach to all those different groups that Rashida mentioned, and maybe there are others. And again, this may be part of the master plan, and really come up with programming You know, because again, that example in North Philly, they didn't have a building, but they did things in existing spaces. So I know we want the building, but I just think that the programming would be exciting, and there's some kind of programming that could come out of this, and maybe a committee of the Arts Commission could be involved with that.
Linda? And then Ione.
Yeah, one of the, oh dear. Hold that thought. I'm gonna go in and out of Zoom again. So Addie.
You got it.
Ione?
Uh, well, I was going to mention that concept of would a committee be that could have some of us and also some others involved be appropriate at this time. Also, making it more real, the programming could be there could be contests. There could be a contest for the designs of various ideas about an art center. There could be things that kids could get involved with already. Something like that. Something to make it more real in the public imagination, and funders' imagination too. Yeah.
Ward?
I have to say that I still don't understand how well how with a master plan how it works. At some point, the final draft is going to appear, and what happens with that final draft? Once the final draft appears, what happens to the different recommendations in it? For example, let's say there's a recommendation for a % for art program. How does that get implemented? Who's responsible for that? And how much, you know, we're going along. There's been a tremendous amount of community involvement, but in a sense, the Lord people have been our, you know, the people who have been on top of it all with Addie. And it's like, well, Lord's going away. they're not going to be involved anymore. So, you know, what happens then? And the same with the art center. While responding to what you said, Addie, it is definitely true that the city, when the city gets involved, it has to be a municipal issue. But the Arts Commission has been involved in projects that have not been entirely municipal. So just to say, but I still don't know what the answer is.
Linda?
Sorry, can I just respond to that? So the only thing is that if from what I understand from the proposal, this center is being looked to be developed on city property. So regardless of if there cannot really be any, like, there can't be like a side project there. If it's going to be developed on city property, it's going to have to involve the city, and it's probably going to have to be a municipally led project unless you can find a private developer. But still, I can't imagine that we would be able to just, you know, we'd have to have RFPs, we need to have bids. It's going to have to be involved with the city in some capacity. But also just in terms of implementation, that's kind of the reason why we had to do the task force kind of process, is we need to start getting used to being able to work together on these larger projects and conversations, because they're not going to be here to be able to implement them. You know, some of these programs are going to be city run. Some of them, there were like direct suggestions that did not be city run. So each recommendation has been treated differently. Each recommendation has again, those worksheets, it has a section that says, who are the leaders in this? So for each one, it's going to be different. For the % for arts, I have a feeling that's probably going to be a municipal led project, because that would be, you know, government policy. So I would hope the Arts Commission would be involved in that, because I think that that's something we've all wanted to work on. But, you know, that's kind of the next step of the plan, is writing out that roadmap. We did the research for it. Now we have to like physically write it out. So when the draft is complete, we'll all be able to read it and be able to provide feedback on things we think make sense and things we think don't make sense. So once we have everything written out, we'll be able to provide some feedback on that.
Linda?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much been said, but I just wanted to share that, we're in the arts advocacy and funding group. And as we listed our most, the things we really wanted to focus on that we felt had to be in there, and we did the worksheets, that was mentioned over and over again, that each, that like the percent for art was going to have to be led by the Arts Commission with help from community members, et cetera, as well as, going, I think the Multi-Arts Center was also a long-term goal, but we talked about it being something that we could start in on immediately by creating a team of people, like interested community members that run arts organizations or have are part of community centers that want to be part of this. So we could start to build a collaborative community. So when we, years from now, when we get the money, or, maybe if we get the money right away, great. We still need to build a very collaborative community so we all can start to trust and work with each other. So that was like the thing that came out of our group. And I felt really good as we started making those final notes. It feels, there's still a lot of work to do, but I feel like we have a good framework to move ahead. So this whole process has been a really great appreciation for all of the people here in this community and how much they care. And I'm very excited about the next steps for this. So I think it's a good question, Ward. I don't think we can write a definitive, like, who does what at this point, but I feel like once we get that framework together and Lord hands it to us, that's when we're really going to have to roll up our sleeves and start to work.
I just wanted to start the conversation, and part of it was because of my total ignorance, in this regard.
Lynn, did you have something?
No, well, I guess following up on what Linda said, so the way that would work is if you want percent for art, I mean, that would be the Common Council ultimately that would vote on that, right?
Yeah, that's in the
So the
list.
case
That
would
was in
have to
our
be
list,
made-
yeah.
So the case would be made to the city, the Common Council, the alder people, the mayor, that this was important and why and how much and all that. But ultimately it would be the city government, right, that votes, the Common Council votes.
Right.
So we need to start like talking with the council members and advocating for this, explaining also the community why that's important. So if there is a public forum or something like that, that people can express why they will support that, things like that, right? So we need to start like some sort of like a campaign, educational campaign to talk about this, why it's important, what can be done.
That was one of the things that we talked about in the task force, is that we have to be very explicit about and educate the public about this so that they don't think it's a tax, so that they don't think that there's going to be any money coming from the public, that, it's really about, somehow, that it's not going to come out of the taxpayers' money.
But it could though, right? I mean, in some cities, is it a tax? I mean, this is,
Well, in some places it's a bed tax, or something, or they have, like the library has,
right.
I
It's
forget how much.
discretionary. It could be discretionary. Do you want to
Yes.
contribute, or
Yeah,
the
something like
developer
that.
have to pay something, or?
Right, but we just have to be very careful that we explain what it is, and so that people don't think we're taking their money to
Right.
put up pretty sculptures.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the, just kind of doing this work for over a year now with the planning process, is that, part of, there's like, again, kind of like multiple conversations happening at once, multiple organizing styles happening at once. And I think that, part of the benefit of this plan being a municipal led project is now it's, a part of the city's planning for our next year as we go into budget season. Okay, we have all these recommendations. Is there anything we need to ask for? But we kind of have one element of things that we're going to be working on, but it can't all. One of the things that came up so clearly was that it cannot be, not all of the solutions are all at the city's doorstep. And in fact, some of them, like I said just a second ago, people really don't want to see there because they want to be able to embrace it and work through some things maybe outside of some of the city structures, which I think is fair. Because, it's a bureaucratic system. It's not a system that's particularly speedy and agile. So I think that there are some spaces where folks would like to create some of their own resources. And I think that that's part of the planning process, is not having everything be under city ownership. For the things that make sense for city ownership, it's perfect because it's our project. So those goals are kind of set there in our administration, and kind of how, we can allocate different people. Again, we have this whole conversation about housing. We have a housing specialist, so it's going to make sense that we're going to collaborate with them. Diversity, equity, inclusion, how are we going to include that? So I think each recommendation is going to have its different roles and positions for people to play. And like I said, I think the spaces where the Arts Commission will be able to collaborate, should be involved, should support, I think those will be pretty clear. And that language will be included in the action plan element or section of the actual planning document.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Each recommendation will have its own issues. Who decides for each recommendation?
The task forces and us as planners as well, project managers, I think will have a say in it. And, if there's something that you think is incorrect, I think you'll be more than able to voice that when we look at the draft. If something doesn't make sense, we should say, that doesn't seem like a good fit for that role.
Oh, so it will say in each, in the draft for each bullet point, who will take charge of that bullet point.
Yeah, part of the work is to check who are the stakeholders for each one of those initiatives and who makes sense to get involved with that. And then it comes, like, I'm assuming with each of these subgroup, some sort of ownership and the decision of who is going to lead that part of the master plan. And as Adi said, there are some initiatives that maybe will stay in some community-based organization that we are not really going to oversee if they want to take those initiatives, but that maybe every now and then they can come to the commission and tell us how things are going. And because also this plan that sometimes I think is good to remind people, they can change. This is a draft. This is like once we start with the boots on the ground, we will find out that maybe there was something that needed to be done before. So then we need to go back and reevaluate those things and adjust. But this is like a broad vision of what will be our next step for the following years. And yes, I think that each one of us need to somehow take care of a piece of that and work with the community to make that happen.
Right. I mean, one of the things too is that, like, we can't necessarily tell organizations outside of the city, like specific organizations, like, you need to do X, Y, and Z necessarily. So the most ownership kind of comes from the tasks that we know we can take full ownership of. That's, I think, why it's like tasks and recommendations. That phrasing of recommendations is really important too, of it's not all going to be, again, like for some of the stuff, it's a little nebulous. Like, how do we say we need to collaborate more? Like, we can't just tell people they have to do that. We have to think about how to do that, how those structures work. And again, we've come up with some pretty, people dialed in pretty tightly on these, on our task force meetings, I felt. But, Lord will probably have some recommendations for what they want to do. And we'll be able to clarify what makes sense with the tools we have in Kingston and really put that into specifics.
Peter, you've been very quiet. Do you have anything?
Um,
Oh,
can you hear me?
yeah, now we can.
Can you not? I'm agreeing. I think that as the commission, we are sort of we're like the cheerleaders for the whole thing. We're the ones who have what I'm guessing is like the broad picture of the whole arts scene, and we've got this plan, and we can see a lot of players. So I think that we're like the cheerleaders and the coach. It says, I think this would be a good team to kind of move this piece forward, or this team to move this piece forward. So that's kind of how I see us as the guiding force and the leading force, because we're going to change too. We're not all going to be on this, and who knows. So I think it will be our job to continue to kind of keep looking at it. Like Maria Elena said, it's a living document. So change things, move things on. When new members come
Peter,
on,
you're
maybe
having a
they'll have
Wi-Fi
some other
problem.
visioning. But that's how I see it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to speak eloquently, but I guess you didn't hear me.
We heard half of it. It was wonderful.
All right, then I'll shut up now. I was forced to change my modem. And ever since I've done that, my connections have sucked. So,
Not good.
but you got what I was saying. So there you go.
So anything else on this? Okay, any old business?
I have just a question. Do we have, Adi, you mentioned that mid-May, that's pretty much we are there. Do we have a date with Lord or not yet?
We don't have a specific date.
Okay, okay.
Any old business? Linda?
I sent out a couple of items that I wanted to make announcements for. And, first and foremost, the ninth annual Arts Awards. I can't believe it. I don't know why. It just seemed like time went by like that. Anyway, they are coming up on June 10th. And I know, Susie, you've been part of the committee for 9 years, and I really want to say thank you to that. But it's going to be another fun virtual event, but we're already zooming up to make sure that it's going to be fun for everybody. A lot of the awardees are from Kingston. UPAC is getting the Arts Organization Award, and the Business Corporation is Rough Draft.
Yeah.
Individual artist, Michael Lalicki. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and the artivist is a young man. His name is Jelani Lyon, and he does all these different types of work. So anyway, it's going to be another fun event, and I just want to thank you all for supporting it and being there, and just being part of the fabric of Ulster County. It's amazing. And then secondly, we have set the date for our Art Walk Kingston, September 18 and 19. That's the weekend we're choosing. The committee is meeting this Saturday, and we're going to be pushing out a lot more details. So stay tuned. I'll give you more details next month, but that's all I have. Thank you.
And I just have to let you guys know that I had nothing to do with my husband being
Yes,
nominated.
she was not allowed. Yes, the panel selected it, and that was among all of the nominations. So
Yeah.
we like to keep it clean.
Any new business? Ione?
I just wanted to, this is old and new, this to remind about May 29th, which is the combination of my birthday and Pauline's birthday celebration at Deep Listening Plaza. And it's a concert with Susie Ibarra and Alex Pay and Claire Chase. and community members, including musicians and composers, including Peter Wexler, and other people are joining in from the community. And the audience will also be a part of it as well. So we hear we can expand a little bit because of New York State's expansion. So we're doing Eventbrite and really keeping a lid on it, but we can have up to 50 attendees. It should be quite special. We'll be doing some listening walks, spontaneous listening, deep listening walks throughout the city and throughout the area as well. So hope you can, there'll be incredible documentation afterwards. So if you can't come, you'll see it later.
Alex is an amazing musician. I met him up at Mohunk, I think about 3 years ago. And he was playing a Pauline piece to the audience there up at the Mohunk Mountain House. So we're lucky, and we're lucky to have you, Ione, as well.
Well, I think
amongst us.
I
I wanted to mention one thing, that the Midtown Arts District is doing a group, is doing the Kingston Annual again with the Ask Gallery. So call for entries will be open on May 24th. So you'll hear more about it. There'll, I'm sure, be a press release, but tell your artist friends. And it's going, one of the jurors is Andrew Light. And there'll be more details soon, but it should be a really nice show. And it will merge into Art Walk again, like it did last time.
That was so fabulous.
Makes a lot of sense, you know.
Yeah.
Why do we do these disparate things? It's much
Yeah,
better
yeah.
when we do them together.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I think this might be the shortest Arts Commission meeting ever.
Talking about Andrew Light, the Dorsky Museum is doing its annual fundraising event on October 9, and the honorees, we have business honoree and arts honoree, and Andrew Light is our arts honoree
That's great.
for this year, and he. I was concerned because Andrew is, as you know, a little on the shy side, but he was delighted to do that. And the business honorees are the publishers of Chronogram.
Oh,
Great.
Nice.
Well,
That is really,
the show that
Andrew
had at Dorsky was such a beautiful show.
that was an amazing show. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
October
great
9,
news.
put it on your calendars.
Yeah, thanks, Ward.
is it going to be live?
It is going to be, what we're planning is in person and Zoomed at the same time. And it's going to, as opposed to other previous events, it will be upstate.
Yes.
And the chairs are very committed to the fact that we need to reorient ourselves to the Mid-Hudson Valley. And so we're really excited about that as well.
You mean it will be local, not in New York City, when you say
Right.
upstate?
Right.
Not like in Utica.
Though there are some wonderful things about Utica. I just
Oh,
wanna
I
mention.
love the museum up there.
Institute.
So, all right, anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Ward, second,
Second.
Ione? Anybody opposed? Okay. All right, guys, nice to see you.
Great to see you all.
Great to see you all.
So
Maybe next
long.
time we can be in person.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And did you read the
Yeah.
paper? No masks.
Right.
Yeah.
No
I
mask?
feel
Read the
naked.
paper, read tonight's paper. It knock you over.
If you're
Yeah.
full vaccinated, no mask anymore.
Okay, amazing.
Yep.
Great.
All right. Take care,
All right.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you all soon.
Congratulations, everyone.